Hey guys, it's Charles from the Go On Overland channel. We're hanging out down here in South Florida. We're going to be seeing 3 different campsites, 3 different nights. So behind me is Naples, and we're headed east on Highway 41. You know, we were kicking around Naples for some work stuff this past week, and you know, it just isn't for us. We can't wait to get out into the country, get out. Apparently this is this certified dark sky area where you can actually see the lights. That was kind of surprising to me that down here in Florida, you know, it's just so populated, and Naples was so populated. So we can't wait to just get out to these little campsites. So off to my right, down south, is the Everglades National Park, and then beyond that is Key West. In front of me is Miami. That's where we're going to be headed into Friday for some more work stuff. Again, behind me is Naples, and off to my left, up north, is some awesome wildlife nature preserves, and then of course the rest of Florida. So as we go along, we're going to be cooking a few meals. We're going to be hanging out, going on walks with the dog, and checking out these 3 different campsites. So stay with us. We'll see if it's maybe something that you want to check out while you're down here in South Florida as well. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. We just stopped off at the Big Cypress little station they have here, a little visitor station, and they have a tremendous amount of gators here in this little river behind me. Trying to get some of that on footage for you guys. Definitely worth the stop. We're stopping alongside of the road in different places like that. There's gators, there's different boats you can take out, the fan boats and kayaking and canoeing, but if you're just driving through and you want to catch a little sneak peek at these gators, this is a great spot to do it. So we came way down the fence line, almost to the end, and we ended up stumbling across this guy. He is chilling right there. So check him out. So apparently they have 30 something teeth on the top and 50 on the bottom. I don't know. Friends, let me know in the comments if you know how many teeth these suckers are supposed to have, but this dude is just prehistoric. Oh, we made it to our first campsite. We're over here at the Midway Campground. We're going to dump. We'll spare you from that, and we'll meet you back at the camp. Actually, one quick thing, guys, a little piece of gear that you might be interested, whether you have a little teardrop, a little overlanding trailer, or a big rig like this, these little Lynx levelers, we originally found these at Walmart, and I went to Amazon and got the cap. And so whether you're trying to stabilize your rig, these work really good. So what I'm doing here, I'm actually building a little platform, and then I'm gonna drive up on it, because as we dump, the tank exits on that side. So I wanna lift this side of the trailer up to get that stuff flowing as good as possible. Well, friends, we're all set up. So we got our truck parked here, and they put us in spot number 1, of course, because Go On Overland is number 1, right? Hit the like button if you think Go On Overland is number 1. But guys, I'm gonna set up a few things over here before we start thinking about dinner, just a few little quick things on the camper. Meanwhile, Jolene is gonna take you guys on a hyperlapse run with the GoPro all around this entire lake, see a couple of the campsites. So let's get into that, and we'll meet you back here at camp for dinner. This is the first campsite that we've had in about a month where we've had power. So you bet we're gonna be plugging these things in. Of course, we're usually charging with solar, but right now we're gonna take full advantage of this electricity. So I got it plugged in outside here to the outside port, and let's see how much it's bringing in. Right about 99 to 100 watts is what we're pumping in right now, and it's at 15%. And don't forget guys, right now Opus is running a code. If you use OVRLND, you can get 20% off. All right guys, so for tonight's dinner, it's arepas. If you're new to that, it's basically a cornmeal, and we muster it back and forth in our hands and make little arepas. It'll make more sense in a minute. A key ingredient is Mexican crema. Make sure you have a bunch of that. And then you got some salami, some Munster cheese we go with, some more lunch meat, and then sometimes you have like corn that you put in there. Over there in Venezuela and Colombia, you'll have all kinds of pork and different kind of meats, and they get really fun with it, but we're just gonna do it here camp style. So the first thing that you want to do, pop this guy open, and we went with the Goya. Another brand is Pan, and that's a really good brand. They have like the white, the yellow, and the orange. So sometimes arepas are sweet, but we're gonna put a bit of water in there. Guys, there's an ingredients list, but we don't even worry about that. So a bit of fresh water. Then the next thing is some salt. So you want to get that in there first, and then we go in with the cornmeal. Now, as I told you guys, we were already at the dump station today, so let's hope I washed my hands, because this is one of those meals where you just get after it with your hands. Traveling around the world, we've got to see how different people live, and I think you'll find there's a lot of cultures that use their hands a lot more than we do, but we're just mixing it up a little bit. I had too much water, so I added some more cornmeal there, and that's about the consistency that we're looking for. Right now I could play with it and it doesn't really stick to my hands anymore. And so you actually just let that sit for like a minute, maybe a little bit longer. So while that's sitting, we're gonna get the pan hot. So we decided today just to cook on this little bottle top cooker. We're outside, we're at a beautiful campsite, so what better than to actually cook outside and get out of that tin box for a minute. It's a great place to be, but especially if it's raining, but I'm an outside dog, so I like being out as much as I possibly can. So now it's a really kind of thick substance, if you will, and you can kind of break a chunk of it off. And now it's that kind of like rolling it into a ball, and then back and forth a million times. And it starts cracking a little bit. I don't really like that, so I'm gonna put it back. I'm gonna put a little bit of water on my hands. Rinse my hands. Now my hands are wet, and that's gonna help a little bit. So I'm gonna make it into a ball one more time, and then we'll be good to go. That for me, guys, is a really good arepa. It's really thick, and that way we can slice it in half and stuff it with all this stuff that we brought. So that one's ready to go. I think I'm gonna go ahead and wet my hands again. And we always make a bunch of extra arepas because these are best actually the day after, with a couple of fried eggs and some of that Munster cheese, and it just doesn't get better, guys. That's the best breakfast out there. It's better than your Egg McMuffin, I can guarantee you that one. That one's ready. Again, the other brand is Pine, and you can find this at Safeway, City Market, whatever little grocery store you guys have, it'll be there. So now this is on medium, low, maybe. It's hard to tell with this guy, but as that thing's cooking, like I said, I'm gonna start preparing 2 more because we need these for breakfast tomorrow. So it's been a few minutes, guys, and I want to say that none of these Arepas would be possible in my life if it wasn't for our buddies. Lizuti and her mom taught us this. Now my wife, she's from Chile, but Arepas aren't such a thing down in Chile. It's more of a Venezuelan and Colombia type of food. So these guys are really hot and they're warm. I'm going to take this one off and start showing you how we make them. So we slice it open, and while it's still really, really warm, you want to get that cheese in there because that's that melty goodness that we're looking for. So the cheese is always the first thing to go in. Like I said, you could have corn is probably something that I'm missing. And I know my friends, if they're watching, they're going to judge my technique and all that. But you know what, guys, hopefully this will give you a little bit of courage or empowerment, as they say, to get out and try kind of new meals or new things. Maybe you can try this and let me know down in the comments below if you were successful. Maybe it took you a couple times. Maybe you got it on the first try. So just whatever kind of lunch meat you have lying around. This is one of those meals that, as long as you have the cornmeal and a bit of cheese, whatever kind of cheese you pick up, I bet you can make this with what you have right there in your house. And then it's just heaps and heaps of crema. And make sure and keep the crema close by because you're going to keep going back for that. Now friends, we're going to sit here and enjoy these arepas, watching the beautiful little lake, hanging out at this campsite. We're going to enjoy the power. Like I said, it's the first time we've been plugged in for about a month because we're completely just off the grid 24/7. We might mess around a little bit in the morning, but chances are this is the last bit you'll see of this campground. Now don't forget, guys, tomorrow night we're staying at Burns Lake and then we're staying at Monument Lake. So hang back for those campsites as well, and we're gonna see what kind of fun we can have in the next couple days. Well guys, we're done with the first one. We had an awesome night, really good little dinner there. But we wanted to mention that if you ever stay there, make sure and check out site number 13. If it's available, we thought that one was a really good one. We would come back for that one. So we're driving down the road, headed over to the next campsite. So this is Burns Lake, and we're excited to see what they have to offer over there. Well friends, when we pulled in, I was happy to see that the attendant told us that we had the best spot in the place. So we're at spot number 10 over here at Burns Lake, and we're on the end. So if you look behind me, there's just a row of all these campers, and we're right here on the corner. So looking out our camper door, you have the fire pit and the table, and then of course across from the camper is that lake. Now guys, we're gonna continue setting up, and then we're definitely doing a fire tonight. Just had a chat with the campground host, and it turns out the Burns Lake, Monument Lake, and Midway Campground are all lakes that were dug out. And this is so rocky, it's hard to show you guys how deep it is, but it literally just drops off. And that was one of the questions I had for him. And so it turns out they used all that rock to build the highways and stuff out here. So from what he was saying, it doesn't sound like there was even a lake here in the past, that these are basically man-made. I think they did a fantastic job. It makes for a great little campsite, and it makes for an awesome lake. There's a ton of fish there, the gators love it, and we got a highway from it. And there it is, guys. That's why we come down to Florida, to see these big fellas. So we're just checking out the lake, doing a walk around it. And as simple as that, this guy's hanging out. All right guys, so the weather hasn't been able to make up its mind. It's trying to stop our fire, but we're not gonna let it happen. It's been raining off and on, but I think we finally got the break we've been looking for. So I had to process that firewood a bit. We had to purchase some because you're allowed to go out and gather it, but you go a few feet in and it's just so marshy. We didn't want to deal with that, so we bought some wood. And I think because of the humidity and the moisture down here, it just got a bunch of mold on it. So I went ahead and shaved all that off. I used this knife that my buddy gave me. It's a Schrade knife. It's a pretty good price point, so you can get into it relatively easy. And it has a really big, wide base at the top. And that way you can just hammer and beat the heck out of it, and it's gonna take everything you throw at it. Now, being a little bit cheaper knife, you know, the steel is pretty soft. It's not the top of the line knife, but I'm just putting it through its paces, and it's been working really good for me. So I can take a piece like this in half with no problem with this guy. Even grab a really big piece like this. It's a bit of a wedge because it's so thick at the top. And again, it's not extremely narrow at the bottom, but just enough where it'll let you get into some of that wood and really just tear it apart.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free.
Well guys, Burns Lake did not let us down. We really enjoyed this spot. Of course, number 10 was really good for us. We made a little fire, had some bratwurst and a couple s'mores, and just had a really good time. So don't forget, tomorrow we're heading out to Monument Lake. We're gonna be camping and seeing what we can do over there. So hang with us to the rest of the video. But I'd love to know in the comments below if you've been down to South Florida, if you've had any experience in the Everglades or Big Cypress. Let us know, and we'll see you in the morning.
In the great outdoors, forever free.
Hey guys, here we are on day 3. Thanks so much for hanging with us along this trek. We're headed over to the last campground. That's Monument Lake. We're gonna show you guys a little bit of that, so we'll catch up with you over at the campsite. So we made it to our site, we're all set up. Guys, the only thing I really had to do is I put the front tires of the truck up on those blocks that I've been showing you, and that way it actually tilts the front end of the trailer down, which brings the back end up. It just, the way it was pretty much flat, but that made it just perfect for us. So guys, we're gonna take you on a little tour around this lake. As the video continues, we're gonna talk about which park we liked best, and that's gonna be really hard, you know. This one has a bit of a resort vibe. The host was really cool. Of course, that probably varies by season or even by maybe the day of the week, but all the hosts have been fantastic. This place is really big. There's no electricity at this one. The only one that there was electricity at was the first night. Not sure if that's something that you're looking for or that you need. Again, we never have electricity. We never plug in. We pretty much live off-grid 24/7. The truck and the solar panels do everything for us. But I'll tell you, one of the things we noticed was the generators. You know, the last 2 nights, well, this night and last night, there's been generators. I can hear one off in the distance right now. And so if you kind of want to get away from the noise, surprisingly enough, you might go to a place with electricity. Now these sites aren't what we're accustomed to. We love heading out to the BLM land in Colorado and Oregon, Washington, and just getting way out there as much as we can. But guys, I think down here in southern Florida, even with a permit, you're gonna be hard pressed to find any kind of place where you can go backcountry and just get lost. It just doesn't exist down here. So I think they do a really good job with these parks. But needless to say, we're gonna take you guys around the lake and let's go show you some more. Well, here it is, guys. Friday morning, we got the camper basically packed up. We're gonna hit the road soon for Miami. Guys, we're leaving the wilderness and bound for the crazy city, but it's good because we're going to work and get some stuff done. Real quick on the 3 campgrounds, if you're just cruising through, you wanna catch a little bit of power like we did. Right off the highway is the first one, that Midway Campground. They do a really good job with the lake and it's really pretty little spot. I want to say that night 2 probably was our favorite. Over there at Burns Lake, it's a mile down off the highway, so it kind of feels like you're back there in the woods a bit. It was just a really great sunset and we had a nice time. I think we had a really good campsite there, that we had that whole front area all to ourselves. We didn't have another camper on this side like we do now. And then this last night, night number 3, you know, this lake was pretty special because it's wide open spaces. So there's a bit of forest off in the distance, but again, it made for a great sunset. And then there's a couple walking trails out there. This one's really big and they had a hot shower. And so that's something that the other 2 didn't. I guess you can't win them all, guys, but that's why we like just getting out there and trying a few different things. It's our first time to Florida, so we kind of call it our exploratory trip, where we get out there and just kind of get a lay of the land. You know, I've traveled the world in different countries and you look stuff up online and it just ends up being different in person. And so it's really nice to get out and do that exploratory trip a bit. Well, friends, if you made it this far, I'd hope that you would consider subscribing. You know, hit the bell, you'll get notified anytime we put a video out. Make sure and hit the like button and comment. You know, we've talked about different things, whether it's if you've been down here before, maybe tell me about your rig, what you guys take overlanding, or if you have any questions about our rig or how we get down the road. Any of the gear I talked about here, I'll make sure and try to put a link in the description so you can find that. Guys, we got a bunch of fun stuff as we make our way across Florida, so hang with us. God bless you guys, and until the next video, get up and go on.
like a bird on a tree. I'm just sitting here, I got time, it's clear to see.